Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Krista White. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Crow Canyon, and we've got a great product showcase planned for you today. We have the #1 IT ticketing system in M365 and Teams. A lot of fun things to dive into and show you around. But before we get started, just a couple things for housekeeping. So first of all, this will be recorded. We will be adding this to our YouTube channel as well as our website. And if you've registered for the webinar live here, then you will also be receiving the recording in an email tomorrow. Also, this is meant to be interactive. We want to get your questions as we're going through. We don't want to just talk at you. So any questions you have, go ahead and use that question box on the right side of your screen there. We do want to hear from you. And lastly, this will be more of an overview today. So there's a lot that we can show you in NITRO Help Desk. And we're going to keep it high level, but if you would like to schedule a one-on-one demo afterwards, we would definitely encourage you to do that. We can talk more about your specific organization's needs and dive into that a bit further. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce Ryan Stefani. Ryan will be the solutions architect showcasing NITRO Help Desk for us today. And we, by the way, are Crow Canyon Software. We've been around for 25 years. We're GSA certified. We're a Microsoft preferred business application. We're also a California certified small business. But enough about us. I know we just want to get to what we're all here for today, this product showcase. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and hand things off to Ryan. Ryan, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Krista. Okay, so let's share my screen. Is that coming through okay, Krista? We good?
We're good, yeah.
Okay, perfect. All righty. Well, yeah, I mean, like to Krista's point, today is going to be hyper-focused on the application, on the product. We'll keep it, no frills in that aspect, and jump right in. So first, I'll get the architecture structure out of the way, and then we'll jump into the feature set. So right now, you're looking at the NITRO Help Desk landing page for a technician. And when we say, #1 ticketing system for Office 365, meaning our application sits inside of your Office 365 tenancy or farm, depending if you're on-prem or online, right? So what does that mean? Well, everything is living, not everything, all the data is living in SharePoint lists and libraries. So when you're seeing the tickets list or the problems list or the change request list, all of that is SharePoint data and living in your environment. There's no Crow Canyon server. There's no potential security risks, right? Because we've already vetted Office 365 and everything is living in that space. Now, conversely, how does the application run? So like I said, SharePoint based, Teams, Outlook, right? Extending all of our fingers into all those other 365 spaces. But we use a proprietary software called NITRO Studio to build, support, manage, and maintain our applications. So it's independent of Power Platform. It works in conjunction with Power Platform, and it is included with the help desk site. So forms, as you can see, workflows, reporting, all of these little pieces, apps, build NITRO, which underlies the help desk. So why is that important? Well, I think, I can attest to this a little bit here internally. We're going through a, HubSpot integration right now, and there's certain columns I can't change. There's certain things I can't remove, and it's irritating, I'll be honest. And my cut was always why. And in this instance, we won't be running into that limitation. So the forms tool or the workflows allow you to create, customize, configure your own, and if you tie that in with the fact that it's living in your environment, you have complete control over whatever metadata columns that you are capturing. So it gives us, I should say, complete control over the application. The reason I say us is because, we're here to help too, implement, train, support, like I said, but we can go in and help you configure or give you the tools to configure on your own. Okay, that's the housekeeping bit. Now the tool set. Okay, so I feel like I've made up this word of modularized, but we've created modules around the service desk, the concept of service desk. Today we're going to focus on ticketing. I have service requests teed up that I'm going to show a little bit of. And then there's asset tracking that can be added, change and lifecycle management, purchasing and projects that can also be added to this as well. For time constraints, we will be saving those for a more personalized one-on-one demo. So just ticketing today, and I'll give you a little bit of flavor of the others too, just to kind of open your eyes in terms of what we could do. Okay, so the workflow. Ticket creation. I think, as much as we want, to use Teams, and we'll talk about that in more detail in a second, and as much as we want to use mobile phones and things like that, there's still going to be that subset of users that wants to submit an email and have that email create a ticket. I mean, that's still very much in practice here. It can be email or text. Basically, you configure a shared inbox or a set of shared inboxes. And those emails, inbound emails, create tickets. Who it's from, subject, body, where it goes, and then you can parse the attachments, the original email. We can even do a little bit of functionality on top of it, like taking the email header and in the body and updating certain choice columns on the backend SharePoint list, like if it wants to route to a certain team if they have a certain header, right? So it gives us a little bit of flexibility there. And then the same concept around texting, right? Text notifications, email notifications are available in the system. So I guess as we kind of walk through this workflow, it's like a maturation process of the IT world, right? It was email first. I mean, we started as a help desk in the old Outlook public folder system, Exchange late 90s, early 2000s. And I think after that, it was, this idea of a portal, right? I send my end users to a portal and they request something. A ticket form pops up, they fill out the ticket form, they get the warm and fuzzies, their ticket was created, new issue, and they can view the status of that request from this portal page, right? I can see my tickets, I can view KB articles, basically kind of a peek into the back end. Now this is actually really interesting. I'm going to take one small side step and talk a little bit about the forms tool. So kind of like 1B, if ticketing is 1A in terms of our flagships, Crow Canyon flagship products. Our forms tool is really, in my opinion, is really cool. We've always had this, attachment to SharePoint, and InfoPath was a big part of the SharePoint world for a long time. And when it went away, it kind of left this huge gap in the offering in the space in terms of who's going to fill that InfoPath replacement piece. Well, that's what our forms tool's intention is still. Now it just happens to underlie our applications. So architecturally, it's really interesting the way that the forms tool works in conjunction with the application, specifically around the portal. Because you can see we have a very specific, end user interface for, creating a ticket, right? It's a stripped down version of who are they, what do they want, etc. Now, what's cool about this is that, the permission structures in SharePoint are always difficult. You try to explain them to someone and their eyes roll back in their head and they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. And quite honestly, I don't blame them. When I bring new people on here, and then Krista or one of our other gentlemen, Craig, can attest, it's like, what, how do I, right? So I think with the forms tool, it's taken a lot of that stress of permissions out of the SharePoint space for those, or the 365 space, the team space for those who are familiar. It provides a nice form for the end users with a URL that can be embedded in that portal page, but still keeps the technician view separate. And even if the end users were to get the backend URL, it would redirect them to that portal. So like I said, the forms tool, look, I could spend 3 hours on this thing in its own right, dragging and dropping, adding controls, creating unique columns. I mean, it really is a very cool forms tool. But like I said, I will go down a rabbit hole, so I'm gonna keep it straightforward. If you want to see forms, ping me. We'll set up another time to do it. Okay. So just as a quick recap: email, text, ticket creation, portal, ticket creation with visibility of their tickets. So this is still kind of standard in the space, right? However, with the, when the pandemic hit it 3 years ago, my goodness, almost 4, teams, right? Everyone's on teams. One of my favorite things to say, whether it's coaching my little kids tennis or here internally, is that end users always regress back to their lowest level of training. And in the past, that was email. Now, however, since we're so team centric in a lot of environments, it's become the base level. So what we've done is we've taken that portal and we've added that as an app add-on to the left-hand navigation of Teams. So everything they were doing inside of the portal environment is now as a part of their team space, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds straightforward, like, oh, well, it's a URL. They can navigate to the URL and they can submit a request there. But if it's an extra step or another page or another tab, the likelihood of ticket submission goes down, right? And we want to capture as many tickets as possible. I think that's the goal of the ticketing system at the end of the day, right? So we basically, like I said, taken that and embedded it inside of Teams, which makes it easy for our end users to self-serve, right? That whole self-service model. Now, submitting, viewing, I'll talk about approvals in a sec. We'll get there, but I can, look at my tickets, etc. Now, this KB Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, KB Copilot, right? No need to reinvent the wheel. So what this does, for those who want to use KB articles inside of their environment, gives the end user the ability to search a problem and levy it against a KB article internally, right? So you can see it happened almost instantaneously. It was quick. It gave them step-by-step instructions. It queried the wiki content of the KB article internally, and it gives them the ability to still run an action from this chat. So like, oh, it didn't work. I tried to clear my browser cache and the instructions weren't clear. I'm going to create a ticket. Or you know what? I'm going to mark my issue as resolved. But the nice thing is that now we are also capturing these metrics so that we can gauge how effective KB articles are being. Do we need to address, the content? Do we need to keep that content fresh? I'll get into in a bit more detail when we focus primarily on the KB list in a sec. But again, this in conjunction, this issue resolved or create ticket in conjunction with some workflows we've added to the KB space internally has made the end user experience, in my opinion, around KBs a lot more straightforward. Now, the other thing, the last piece here. Let me pull up my main page here. So look, helps if I click on the right button. Look, email is not going away, right? You're still going to see like my Outlook, a new ticket. Your ticket's been received, right? The one we created. Your password request has been submitted. Email notifications are never going to go away. And this is, I won't spend too much time on the notification piece because this is going to be pretty common in a lot of help desks in the space. Notifications at certain statuses in the tickets lifecycle. When it's created, when it updates, if a technician adds notes to the work log, when the ticket is resolved, the resolution notes, those are going to go to email. Those are still going to live, in Outlook and give us some configurability in terms of what information is being passed. In the app, the NITRO app, in the chat in Teams, what we do is we give you the ability to also send adaptive cards. And adaptive cards are basically Teams-based notifications. Can be email, can be Teams, can be both. But the nice thing here is that when I see this pop up, in my opinion, when I see like my little one pop up on my Teams, I'm conditioned to respond. I don't know if that's a good thing, but you're conditioned to respond. And if it's an update regarding their request or just a resolution to their request, I feel like it resonates more and is driving adoption, especially on the front end for the end users. And then approvals we'll talk about in a second. Okay, so the workflow, right? Ticket creation is what we just covered. Email sync, email to ticket creation, text to ticket creation, the portal, the Teams app, and then the last piece is this, taking these adaptive cards and making it a touch, I want to say, easier than even the portal. I mean, I like the portal for the aspect that, we can capture more information on the ticket. What type of request is it? You know, did they add in any attachments, screenshots, right? They can categorize and subcategorize. But again, the point being, how can we make this as easy as possible, right? So there was an issue I had, I don't know, the other day, yesterday, 2 days ago, I can't quite remember, but I was having a permissions issue to a site. And I'm like, okay, it was a technical issue. That's what it was. And I messaged the team, like, you know, I'm getting this message, help me, right? So what you can do is you can click on the ellipses in the message, and this little ticket utility is going to pop up. And using that engage feature, the NITRO Engage, the Teams app, I'm actually going to populate the description of the request into, or the, you know, of the message into the description of the request. I can title it, you know, permission issue. And I don't have to leave this screen to create a ticket. So I've seen, you know, teams collaborating together and they're running into an issue and they can create a ticket from a chat, you know, as they're chatting together in a Teams channel to IT. You know, I've seen people message IT directly and have, you know, IT be able to create a ticket for them from that message. You know, I think ultimately at the end of the day, like I said, it's how do we get tickets into the system? And this is how we go about it. So it's just another avenue to make life easier. And then again, just get people more and more comfortable with the Teams aspect so that the app becomes second nature. Okay. Teams creation, or Teams ticket creation, email ticket creation, text ticket creation. From a mobile perspective, this is a, you know, for those who have a Teams app on their phone, laptop, not laptop, what's the thing? Tablet, that's what I'm looking for. There, right? And then we also have a NITRO mobile app as well. So we have our own mobile app, and then we use the Teams, either or, right? Both for the technicians or for the end users. So if you have a mobile-based technician force, there's also that option as well. Now, once the ticket is created, it flows into the tickets list, right? Obviously, duh, Ryan. But how does that, you know, who does the ticket get assigned to? And like I said, there are notifications that go out, ticket creation, ticket assignment. It's a pretty easy utility to go in and change, you know, the information you want sent to the user or to the staff, right? It's rich text plus copying information from the body of the request into the ticket. But like I said, that's pretty straightforward. We don't need to spend too much time there. Ticket assignment really is pretty straightforward. Teams, you know, you can assign tickets to teams. Groups is probably the better, because, you know, teams, let's not confuse that. I'll use groups, AD groups. So it does have integrations with Active Directory. Obviously, it's a 365 based tool. It's living in your 365 environment, so you can leverage 365 groups. You can assign them to individual owners, right? As well as on the category and the subcategory. And then you can also do like a round robin or auto assignment as well. So there's a slew of different options. You know, that's the automated way. I will say people go, you know, hey, Ryan, I just get the ticket in, and then I assign it to someone, I review it, and I assign it to someone. That's also a possibility as well. I mean, when the ticket comes in, you can select the utility, you can review it, and then you have these, what we call custom actions, these little buttons here at the top of the list or in the form itself, where you can run a workflow to assign the ticket to the appropriate person. So, I mean, really, you know, tracking with most ticketing systems in that aspect, you know, it gives you that flexibility to assign tickets how you see fit, incidents, I should say, as you see fit, but has that integration with AD as well. Now, once the tickets are assigned, or once they hit the system, there you look, like I said on the intro, you're looking at my view. You know, I'm a technician in this instance. You know, my tickets due today, my overdue tickets. We have different views, different dashboards built in here. I will say our team worked very hard on the UI. I think the new UI of our help desk is very clean. You know, for those who live in SharePoint, they're like, yeah, is this SharePoint? Are you sure? Promise you it is. We've just found a way to make it look clean, modern, sleek, right? Whatever the word is we want to use, but you know, all of the above, let's say. So it does give us a nicer look and feel, especially in the manager's dashboard. I like, I like the staff workspace. Should have just toggled tabs, Ryan. I do think this is nice. It does give you nice information across the top, clean formatted. The manager's dashboard, though, in my opinion, I think their hard work really shines. So this is the initial landing page, kind of talking about metrics here. Then I'll go more through the ticket workflow in a sec. But open, unassigned, tickets needing attention, overdue, like a nice clean interface with reporting. And then we have additional drill down dashboards as well for managers. Open tickets by category, open tickets by staff, ticket trends, incoming ticket by week, by month, by what do I have? 180 days in here. Ticket performance, average time to respond, average time to close, by type, by technician, surveys if you want to run them, right? Response, technician ratings, service quality, right? And then finally SLA reports. I'm going to save this when we talk about SLAs in just a minute and a half, but it does give you reporting metrics on, overdue tickets, breaches, breach by staff, breach by type, etc. So it does have a nice clean reporting interface included with the tool set. Again, it ties back to this NITRO Studio feature, which reporting is included. So the ticket, yeah, I mean, I think if you keep that, that little nugget in the back of your mind with what I opened with earlier around the flexibility of our forms tool, it will give you the, I guess you can kind of imagine what your ticket form will look like. Our ticket form is pretty straightforward. It tracks with a lot of, commonly captured information, right? Who the requester is, what did they say, type of request, did any attachments come over with the ticket, who's assigned, work log. Now, I will say this is a handy feature too. This is one of those SharePoint permission issues that we figured out, which is actually quite cool. Being able to mark a note internal versus end user facing, which is cool. Like being toggle notifications back and forth between internal and external staff. Tying KB articles to a request, creating KB articles from a request, as well as, well, we'll get into that in a second. Tying sub information to the ticket. Now, right here, I want to focus on this due date column, which apparently is drastically overdue. Due dates is time from an SLA utility that our team built specifically for the Office 365 space. So what it is, it's a configurable interface around SLAs that live in the help desk. So you can see I have a default policy. And you're like, hey, Ryan, I don't use SLAs. I don't need them. Okay, no worries. Turn them off, right? No big deal. But if you do have them and you're like, oh, I have an SLA based on this, that, or the other, I want to show you how easy it is to add and build those SLAs specific to the organization. So you can see here, I have a default policy, high priority, respond in 15 minutes, resolve in like, what, a couple hours? Yeah. Now, let's say we want to configure let's do a CEO policy. Okay. So now, this will also look very familiar the more you get comfortable with NITRO, these conditions and these groups. It should also look a little bit like SharePoint Designer for those familiar with it. But this is also how we build our conditions on our workflows. The intention is that it's very easy, right? Very straightforward. Let's say, okay, CEO. So we're going to say the requester is equal to, right? Could be a name, an account, an email, a phone, a department. I'm going to slow down. Actually, this is kind of a cool feature because this has come up on more than one occasion. And whenever something comes up more than once, I kind of store it as, oh, that's interesting. We should look into that. In this case, you have roles in Active Directory. You meaning people I've talked to, right? And those roles can be tied to a lot of things. Permission structure, managers and employees, right? So maybe we're not adding a person, but we're filling a role. So that's actually really cool too. So it could be an account or a name. So in this case, like we'll just use Scott. because I know he's not going anywhere. But it can also be like CEO or AP manager, right? And then that just ties it to that person or to that role and not the person. So it gives you flexibility to bring people on and off, right? Okay, so we'll say, the requester equals Scott and the type of ticket is a network issue or an email issue, let's say, and if it's regardless, I want to respond in 10 minutes, right? However we categorize the ticket, I want to respond in 10 minutes and I want to resolve this thing within the hour, right? So really, as you can see, we built this policy in what, a minute, right? We're just going through and now we're matching policy specific to whatever you guys want internally, right? Gives you that flexibility. So that's what we'll auto populate in the due date and then tie into that reporting metric that brings it all together. So resolutions, what goes to the end user, some wiki content gets created or, just description content, rich text, copy paste, screenshots, etc. And then this goes in the email. Now, like I was saying earlier, you can create a KB article from a ticket if you'd like. I mentioned at the top when we were talking about the KB Copilot around KB articles. So obviously the search feature is going to be more powerful the more things we have to search. And the content saying fresh will make the search more powerful, which make the end user's experience easier, right, down the line. So in this case, we have the ability to select target audience, and then we can also categorize our KB articles as well. So if they're searching under a certain type, subset of types, they can. But it also gives you approvals. You can review the KB before you publish it and review dates. Eyes on it before it goes live, as well as review of the KB, in this case, every 8 months? Did I do that right? Am I at that right? Yeah, every 8 months to make sure that the content is staying fresh. Now you can change the review dates, right? If you have the proper permission, you can come in and change these and say, actually, you know what, I want to review it January 1st. Maybe it's a, it's a policy, right? Whatever, maybe, help desk policy, right? And I want to review it at the first of every year. Another small thing, sounds silly, sounds simple, but the idea of adding tags to a SharePoint form, which is something not accessible in Office 365 or MS Forms out of the box. It's really cool. We're all used to it. We all live in the social media world, whether it be Facebook or LinkedIn or I don't know what the kids use. TikTok, I think, is the thing, right? You can add tags on the fly to make the content more searchable. So you can either choose from a drop-down or you can add tags just to make sure that when they interact with this KB Copilot on the front end, they have something to pull from. They have more information to pull from to make it pertinent. Now, related items. Pass. Real quick though, email history, since it's staring right here, it's hitting me right in the face. This is another tool in NITRO. It's called Email Manager. What this does is it allows you to send emails from a ticket and tie that email to the ticket. I equate it to Outlook on Client or Outlook Client. We used to have everyone had 15 signatures and their signatures had different canned emails and you select the signature, send it off. Same principle. Now, instead of everyone having to configure each one in their own client, it's more widely accessible. So you can select your different templates, or you can free type your own email and have it sent to the end user. It can come from in this case, my email, no reply, a shared inbox, but it just gives you the ability to capture a thread related to the ticket, the incident, and now I can see outgoing and incoming requests related to this ticket. Straightforward. Okay, tests. So test is interesting. Straightforward, easy way to describe it. It just gives you the ability to associate subtasks to a parent ticket. This concept of parent-child relationship, right? Task 1. Add to AD, right? Okay, there you go. Add to Teams IT, perfect. And assign it to James. Let's do John, right? Okay. And now I have a task related to the ticket. So it could be a slew of different ways that we use this. So bear with me here for a second. I'll try to keep it clear, try to keep it straight. But this feature alone is why Nitro Studio exists. InfoPath used to have a feature called repeating rows, tables, and you can embed a table inside of a form. What we're doing here is we're creating a connection between two lists, right? Now in this case, it could be just a ticket to task relationship. However, let's talk about something like onboarding. And you have NITRO Help Desk in place across multiple departments within your organization. And we want to keep those departments separate in terms of permissions and maybe form flexibility. But I still want that onboarding ticket to be tied together. And maybe I want it to be stepped, you know, IT first, then facilities, then payroll, whomever. So what we can do is we can tie this task list to other ticketing queues within the organization through this feature of associated items in Nitro forms. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. And I also think it makes life really easy when it comes to collaborating with other departments within the organization. So my example is always onboarding, because I think that's always a headache, you know, new user requests. That also ties in a little bit to our service requests. Again, you know, this would be in addition another demo, but that's just kind of an example of how we could set that up and how we could architect it, right? A new user comes in based on who the user is or just selections made in the form. We can create subtasks in the ticket or tickets across multiple departments and have those all be tied to a single parent request. Okay. Now, the other two workflows, okay. Problem management and change request. So I'll talk about problem management quick, and then we'll get into a little deeper dive on change request. So at the ticket level, the incident level, caught myself that time almost, I can merge tickets together. Ryan and Krista are working, and they're messaging each other on Teams. They try to do something, and it's not working, and they both submit a request. Okay, I'm gonna merge this ticket to another ticket. Okay, internet's not working. Great, perfect, descriptive. And now we let them know that, hey, Ryan and Krista, your tickets are now merged. When one ticket closes, the other one's gonna close. You guys will be notified, right? So it gives you that ability to tie two tickets together. Problem management is really the same concept, it's just across more tickets. So let's say you get a problem around an outage, I don't know, website down, perfect. And we can either create a ticket from like patient 0, right? We can create a problem from the original request, right? Oh shoot, the website's down. Oh, pop-up's blocked. Oh, boo. Sorry. We can create a problem from the parent request, right? Oh, hey, the website's down. We might see more issues related to this. And this essentially becomes the parent ticket, right? And then we get 15, 20, 30 tickets related to this ticket problem. What I can do, I cannot stress this enough, our interface for this used to be awful. It's so much easier. So I can go through and I can add a bunch of tickets to the problem. And just like in the merge ticket feature, I select all the tickets that tie to the problem. And now when the problem closes, all the subsequent child tickets close, and all the end users will be notified. So I don't have to go through and update them one at a time. This makes it really easy to connect everything together. Okay. Last piece. I'll let you guys go. Hopefully early. You know, it's like the kids in school, like, oh, the substitute teacher, and you're going to get out early. It's kind of how I view these webinars, so I can save you 10 minutes, right? While the dot's still red, maybe catch up on an email or two. Okay, I digress. Change request, change management. Similar to problem, a change can be created from a ticket or a change can be created as a standalone. Now, this is a lightweight change management application. We are in the process of rolling out a full change lifecycle release management application that can be added on to the incident system. So the way that we look at it is that not all organizations need a full project management around change and release. Okay, no problem. You can add that piece on if you want it. Strictly speaking, this change request included with the incidents tool, so this comes with it, is a nice way to have an approval process included in the ticketing system, whether it be for a change or it can be repurposed to use it for approvals however you see fit, right? So in this case, what it's doing is it's looking at this change request approvers list on the back end. I have a hardware change, I have a software change, I have an application change, right? And then I have multiple approval levels. So in this case, I don't know if hard coded is the right word, but I think that resonates, right? Okay, it's hard coded. So whenever they select hardware change, I'm the approver. Makes it easy to show and demo. But we can also do things like pull in roles from AD. Hey, this person's manager. Hey, the head of IT, the director of IT, right? And then you can have this stepped approval process so that when a new change is created, where am I? Hold on, which one am I approver on? Forgot already, software change. It can notify the appropriate people for, updating and change. And the metadata is pretty common across the change world, right? Affected components, cost, risk description, testing and training requirements, right? Work log, tickets and tasks associated to it. But the approval process, I always call the custom actions the warm and fuzzies. I don't know why, but it shows you the green dot on the screen just to let you know that the workflow ran. I don't know if I like it. Silly, but I don't know. Just makes it easy for me. It's like, oh, it ran. Okay, I feel good about it. So what's cool about this is that now it's created a change, it's tied to a ticket, and it's created approval levels, right? So in this case, it ran the approval level, and I'm level 1 and level 2. What's nice about this is that it's also going to tie to the approval task back on the front end, right? Back in the Teams app. So the problem, in my opinion, always around getting people to create or to update approval tasks is getting them to do it, right? It kind of goes back to ticket submission. Billy submits a request for a laptop and it has to go to his manager to approve it. And then I'm like down there, their throat saying, hey, did you approve the laptop? Did you approve the laptop? Did you approve the laptop? Right? It's like, come on, just complete the task. So they can come into the Teams app and do it through here, which is an interface that they're already comfortable with. Click on it and mark approve, warm and fuzzies, right? You have prior permissions, you approve it. There you go. The other option is they can also approve things through email. We call it a lazy approval. I mentioned it briefly earlier around the email thing, being able to parse the email header and update choice columns in the targeted list. So you could provide them some information from the request. They can select a button in the body of the form. It creates a unique email header for them. I'm going to parse that email header, and then any notes they add get added to the approval comments, right? Again, we want tools that our end users and our task approvers are going to use, and that's the goal here, right? Let's just make sure that we can make it as easy as possible on them to go in and do everything we're requiring for them with this new system. Okay, that's it. I'm going to let you guys go. 15-ish minutes early. Like I said, kind of recap. Ticket submission, ticket assignment, ticket working, problem and change, manager's dashboard reporting, the Teams app, the notifications, the approvals piece, that's all part of the ticketing system. Real quick, hold on, last thing. Searching tickets, the great thing about, the awful thing about SharePoint is that searching is terrible, but in this case, we've added our own list search tool. So we can target search towards specific metadata like requester. Oh, show me all the tickets Ryan submitted and send them to his manager to let them know he's a pain in my rear. Right? Oh, demo. Oh, am I not in here? Oh, maybe I'm not in here. That's fine. But the nice thing here is that you can also print and export to Excel, right? So it gives you the ability to also create hard copy reports as well. But the nice thing too, the other search feature is that, let's say someone calls into the system, calls into the help desk and are messaging someone on Teams like, oh, what's the update on my ticket? And it's like, oh, what's your case ID? Up here in the upper right-hand corner, I can take their case ID, I can search it, and it will actually pop up their ticket for me, right? So I don't have to go hunting for it, I don't have to search for it. Type in the case ID, opens up, I can work it right from here. Just trying to make it easy, trying to make it configurable, customizable, right, to the technicians. Okay, so everything I've showed is included in the incident tracking tool. I touched briefly on the service request side. This is an add-on. I talked about the change lifecycle management, release management, that could be added onto the system. I'm sure those with a keen eye have keyed in on NITRO assets up here. This is an add-on potentially as well, so it gives you that ability to build, manage, and maintain a service desk specific to your organization, right? Purchasing, where's my main screen? Let's go here. Purchasing, project management, customer service, facilities, work orders, right? All of those can be module add-ons to the base level. Okay, well, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat now. If not, we'll let you guys go. We'll send you the video like Krista said. So we'll give you a few minutes to plug a chat in if it's required. While that 60 seconds is happening, we'll throw up the workflow tool. Pricing on the system, great question. It's per user, or per tech, per month, per application, right? So a starting price for just incidents, and then number of techs on that starting price, and then if you want to add assets or service requests, it would be an additional cost per app and then per technician. Pretty standard across the space. If you're interested in an exact quote, message me or Krista, and we'll give you the rundown. Okay, it's a great question. So just real quick, the workflow interface, while we're here waiting for other questions to filter in, it's very WYSIWYG, very drag and drop, just like our forms tool, being able to create items, send emails, send Teams messages, all of what we were talking about earlier. We can also build out an Azure workflow, connection to another call REST API to another third-party tool set, etc. Do managers need a license if they just want to view the dashboard but not process tickets? No, managers' licenses will be included in the technician's cost. Good question.
Hey Ryan, I also see another question about what's the best email for you if people want to get in touch for a one-on-one demo?
Oh, it's my first name dot my last name at crowcanyon.com. Ryan.Stefani@crowcanyon.com.
Thanks, Ryan. I'll put that in the chat too for everyone.
Perfect. Swim lane workflow. Yeah, interesting question. You can activate like flow chart controls and event controls as a part of this, gateways, variables, loop controls. In my cut swim lane workflow is always like that Visio interface. So in my very layman's showing of the workflow tool, I was just dragging and dropping to kind of show ease of use. The Visio workflow design, I can show in a separate demo. So if you are interested and you want to set up a time to chat, let me know. But yeah, it would take me down a long rabbit hole of design, or showing how exactly it can accomplish those Visio workflows. Yeah, give me a shout. I'll be happy to walk you through it. All righty. Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your questions. If anything comes up, reach out to me directly, reach out to Krista, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Krista.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone.